So I'm sure many of you recognise this background. I am at Ascot, which only a few days away from where the Royal Ascot meeting is going to take place. And in this video we're going to have a look at some of the key facets of the Royal Ascot meeting. If you're interested in learning to use BetAngel, head on over to our website where you can download a free trial. If you're interested in learning how to use it, then head over to the BetAngel Academy where you can do exactly that. And if you want to talk to like-minded people, then head on over to our forum. So Royal Ascot is the highlight of the flat turf season. It takes place in mid-June and it's run over 5 days from Tuesday until Saturday. It's one of the biggest race meetings of the year. The most amount of money I've ever seen matched on a race at Royal Ascot was 12.5 million. This was the year that Frankel and Black Caviar participated in the Royal meeting. However, typically you tend to see that the races match somewhere between sort of about 1 million to 2 million. On some of the smaller races on the Saturday it will be much lower, and on some of the feature races it will obviously be much higher. So like most major race meetings, you tend to find the markets behave differently at an Ascot, and therefore you have to trade it differently. On the feature races, certainly the money will be stacked up on both sides of the book. The markets will move much slower, and the average sort of price move that you see here will be much lower than you see on a day-to-day basis. So you have to adapt your trading style to account for that. You're going to be going for small movements within the market and probably repeating it because you will get longer on the market because the liquidity is so much higher. That said, outside of the feature races there will be a little bit more movement, the liquidity will be lower, and that will tend to lead to more volatility. So if that's your preferred trading style, maybe you would avoid some of the bigger races and go for some of the smaller ones. But yeah, as per normal, the markets at a big race meeting like Ascot will behave differently from your day-to-day racing. So one of the curious aspects of the Royal Ascot meeting is the quality varies across the course of the week. On Tuesday we get lots of really high quality racing, and you do on other days as well, but not quite as much as you do on that first day. And when we get to Saturday, the racing looks much more normal, and it behaves in a manner that is typically more normal to a traditional race meeting. But when you're at Royal Ascot, Tuesday is the first day of the meeting, and it really starts with a bang. Now, one thing I suggest that you always watch for on any racing, and particularly at these major meetings, is when you get a bit of rain. If we get a big storm, such as we have had in previous years, that can make the ground soften fairly quickly. The course conditions tend to be produced for perfect racing, and while you can water a ground, you can't unwater it. So if you get a sharp shower, that could dramatically affect the price of any of the horses within each of these races. Now, when you get a large race meeting like an Ascot, this can produce a theme that develops across the course of the meeting or on one particular day. So when we get a jockey or a trainer producing a number of winners, that can set off gambles on subsequent horses. Now, one of the advantages that you've got with BetAngel is BetAngel can find these opportunities for you automatically, alerting you to when these are about to happen or could happen within any particular race meeting. But let's have a look at a situation that developed in a previous Royal Ascot that produced absolutely outstanding trading opportunities. So let me now phrase the situation that we find ourselves in. Frankie Dettori has won the first 4 races of the day. The first 3 were at quite large odds. The favourite in the 4th race was his, which he romped home on. What do you think happened in the 5th race? He was riding a horse called Turgenev. So what do you think happened to Turgenev? We've got 4 runners that Frankie Dettori has landed. He's running Turgenev in the next race. Do you think that the odds got shorter and shorter as people put more money on him? Or do you think the odds shot off into the distance on the basis that he just won the previous 4 races? What would you have done? Would you have backed or would you have laid? If you backed, you're expecting the prices to get shorter. If you lay, you're expecting the prices to get bigger. What would you have done on Turgenev? Now, of course, what actually happened with Turgenev is as Stradivarius was pretty much crossing the line, everybody plunged in on Turgenev. It was available at odds of 15. When the activity started within the market, it moved quickly into odds of 12. And then we saw the odds move down to 7.5. So even if you would have missed that first opportunity, you would have had another one and another one and another one. And the remarkable thing about this is the whole market was completely on fire at this particular moment in time. And it actually got all the way down to 4.5. So it was available odds 15, got all the way down to 4.5. And if you want to see just how manic this market was, then at the peak of the absolute mayhem that this market was, there was nearly £250,000 trying to back Turgenev at 4.5. Purely on the basis that Frankie Dettori had won the previous 4 races and he was looking for a 5th. I almost feel disappointed that I didn't make more because it was so obvious, and perhaps I just got a little bit overambitious at some points within this particular trade, but nonetheless you could have used any amount of money and followed exactly the same trade as me, just by following that sequence of events. But you could also, one of the interesting things about this is if you go onto the forum during a major meeting, you'll see and hear us chatting to each other within there, and you'll actually see all of these things developing real time. So if you're slightly cautious or you're not sure exactly what you're looking for, very often you will find it in the forum as you see all of the individual traders chatting amongst themselves. So that makes for an interesting scenario. So Royal Ascot is the highlight of the year, or one of the highlights of the year for me. It can produce some absolutely fantastic opportunities, and it's worth giving it your full attention.